Are you hungry, or are you on a budget, or do you just want to make something different for the family? Well, stay tuned because we're going to be making yakisoba. Thank you for joining me on Dishing with Joe. So today's ingredients are going to be snow peas, carrots, Bunashimeji mushrooms or beech mushrooms, and bean sprouts, and we're going to work with Napa cabbage and some green onions. And then of course today's dish is going to have a protein, which is going to have pork. Now a lot of these I've already prepped, but I'm going to show you how to cut them. But with the protein, we can use shrimp, we can use beef, we can use chicken, whichever one you prefer. I like pork and I also prefer shrimp. But today we're going to be on a budget, so I got pork. It was on sale at the market. All right, so we're going to take a carrot. I already halved it in half. What we're going to do is we're going to do 3 equal slices here, but we're going to julienne them. So that means that we're going to thinly julienne them through, because we want them thin. We want them to cook fast on your pan or your wok, whichever one you have. If you have a wok, even better. But that's how we're going to be doing these here. So we're going to julienne them really thin. And they're about maybe a centimeter or so thick. Okay, so here we are at the end of the carrots. We're about to go and move on to the next vegetable. Now these vegetables are all interchangeable. You can, if you prefer one vegetable to another, it's okay. But these are basic ingredients that they use in Japanese cooking. Napa cabbage. Now you can use a regular cabbage, but we're going to be using the Napa. This one is, I think, a better tasting cabbage for this dish. And all we're going to do is we're going to slice it up, okay? And you can leave the root on because that will hold it together. If you take the root off, everything will fall apart. So we don't want that. We want to make sure that we cut them. So I did 4 slices down here, and we're going to go 1 more slice down the middle. So we want cubes, and this will make cubes for your Napa cabbage. Now we want them about 1 inch by 1 inch. These cook real quick, and you say, Joe, why so much cabbage? Well, once you cook it, it cooks down. And that's why you want to make sure that you have this amount of cabbage available. Now we're going to move on to the snow peas. These you can get at any market. Any of these ingredients you can get at any market, but I like to pick my own because some of them do come with more blemishes than usual. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to prepping this snow pea, and what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the stem where it was hanging off the plant. So if you don't know what side is the stem part, you can cut both sides if you like, but the stem part is the harder piece. What you don't want to do is you don't want to cut too much. You want to cut just the tips of them. You're going to do a little bit more, but again, you don't need to do too much. This is Bunashimeji. Bunashimeji. That's the name of the mushroom. Or you can call it beech mushroom. So this is what it is. You can buy these in an Asian market. They're already pre-packaged. What we're going to do is we're going to take off the roots. And all you're going to do is just cut down through. And that's about it. And then make sure that you have these all coming apart. Okay, so just make sure you pull them apart if they're not already falling apart. And there you go. So now before we finish chopping and slicing everything, I do have the pan behind me heating up so that it can get nice and hot, because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be searing the vegetables and then searing the meat. Okay, so here we are with the pork. What I have here is a pork loin or a pork chop, and I'm going to cut it at an angle so we can slice it up nice and thin. You don't want thick slices on a yakisoba. You want thin. You want to cook it quick. The kids are hungry. The family's hungry. You're hungry. You bought this. You want to get it done, and you want to have a nice dinner. All right, so now we're going to start cooking the vegetables. You can use regular vegetable oil, and you're going to put it in the pan. You want to make sure your pan is nice and hot, and we're going to start adding in the vegetables. Alright, so the vegetables are in the pan. You do want them to sear, and then if you like, you can take the vegetables out of the pan and do a second round. But in this instance, I think we're just going to cook them down, and we'll add them to the yakisoba once the meat and the noodles are ready. So it won't take too long to cook. So as you can see, the cabbage has wilted down. I didn't take any cabbage out. It's all the same amount, and the carrots and the snow peas are still nice and crunchy, and also the bean sprouts are a little bit crunchy still, but just a couple more seconds I think we'll take these out because we'll finish off the vegetables at the end of the whole cooking. This dish was for the working man, the poor man in Japan, so you know, they needed something quick, something easy. You'd go and put this on the wok, and you'd have a nice hot wok that would finish everything really quick. So, all right. So we're going to transfer the vegetables over to the bowl that I had them in, and we're going to set them aside. So here you go. So here's the pork, and we're just going to go ahead and lay it in there. And we're going to let that cook and get a little toasty. Give it a little sear on it. So when you're cooking a meat, you don't really need to keep stirring it. If you want that sear, you want to leave it and let it sit so it can get that sear on it. The meat is seared on one side, so we're going to turn it over. And this is the color that you want. See that nice brown color? And it doesn't really take that long. Make sure that they come apart. And we're going to sear this second side. And all I'm doing right now is separating them so that the heat can go through the meat and we'll have a good sear on the second side. Okay? So as the meat is searing, we're going to prepare our green onion. Now, this isn't going to be a garnish, it's going to be part of the dish, so we want to make sure that we flavor the dish with some onion. But green onion is what we're going to be using. I cut the tops of them off, and usually the tops of them have some kind of imperfection. It's been cut before, that kind of thing. So we're going to do that. We're going to go at an angle, and this is just to make it look nice. So the meat has been searing on both sides, and this is almost ready to add in the noodles. Okay, so now we're going to be adding in the noodles because the meat is almost ready. And these little packets, I'm going to tell you, they're a little difficult to open. So you might need a knife. Just have it handy because you don't want your meats to burn. And we're laying those packets in like so. And the steam of the meat is going to start cooking the noodles. Alright. So we want to get those down underneath the meat and get the meat on top of the noodles. But the meat is flavoring the noodles right now. And as you can see, they start to come apart real easy. Now, yakisoba comes with flavor packets. Now, these flavor packets are yakisoba sauce, okay? We do have yakisoba sauce. I like to add both of them because somehow this flavor in the packets is a little bit more peppery, like white pepper. And this sauce is a little bit sweet, so they kind of mix together very well, and we'll be adding that into the yakisoba once it's ready. See how the noodles come apart? That's what we want, and we want to just keep stirring and stirring. Don't let the noodles burn. Don't dig into it, don't chop it, because then you'll have chopped noodles and not stir-fried noodles. Alright, this is looking really good. Now, what I'm going to do now, even though some of these noodles haven't come apart, they'll come apart once you add the vegetables. So this is the vegetables that we cooked already, and we're going to add those in. We're just going to mix it in gently, because if you try to mix it in too vigorously, it's going to go all over the place. So believe me, I've done this before, and we don't want that. So look how good and delicious this is turning out to be. That's looking really good. And the noodles have all come apart. Everything's mixed in. Now we're going to do those flavor packets. So we're going to open those up. They come apart like this. And there's always one side that you open up, and we're going to sprinkle that in or dump it in like that just happened. But see how it looks? There's a little bit of pepper in them. I really like that. And again, sprinkle it all over. And we're going to use all 3 packets in here. And there we go. All right. So again, we're going to stir this in. That's looking great. It's giving that color that we want. Now, if you're on a budget or you cannot find a yakisoba sauce, you have those packets. That's what you have. You can add a little bit more water at this point if you like, so it can make it just a little saucy. It's not a ramen, so you don't want to fill it with water. You want it stir-fried. But we do have the yakisoba sauce. So we'll be adding that next right now. And we're just going to drizzle that over like so. Alright. And doesn't need much really. So here we go. Stir that in. And it's almost ready. At this point, we're going to start sprinkling in the green onion. And once we got all the onion in, we're going to give it a quick toss. Here we go. Alright, so again, just a quick toss, because again, we want those onions to be crunchy, not wilted. Alright, so now we're going to plate this. And the way we're going to plate this is we're going to use some tongs. And we have some tongs here. We have our plate, and we're going to go ahead and plate right now. Get some of that meat, some of those noodles there. Okay. And some of those vegetables. There we go. And a little bit more vegetables, a little bit more meat. Alright. Now, what I like on my yakisoba is we have some dried seaweed. Now this is little seaweed flakes. They're really fine powder. You can get them for okonomiyaki, so I'm hoping one day I will show you how to make an okonomiyaki, which is a like a pancake. But we're going to sprinkle some of this over. There we go. Some like that. That is great. Right there. See how nice and pretty green that is. And then we have some Togarashi. Now Togarashi is spicy. So for those of you that want a little bit more spice in there, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle that on and give it some spice. There you go. So now you have the green and the red on top. There's your dish. Now for the taste test. So we're going to get some of those vegetables and some carrots. I really enjoy the carrots in this dish. It gives it a little bit of sweetness on top of your the pork and the noodles. It's just a good addition to it. If you don't like carrots, it's okay, but you're missing out. Okay, so here we go. The vegetables still have a crunch. This takes about, I would say, maybe 20 to 30 minutes to cook, everything being done. It does take a little longer to show you guys how to make this, but if you're at home and you're making it yourself, all you want to do is make sure that you're cutting up your vegetables first, then the meat, because you don't want to contaminate your board. And also you want to get the packet of yakisoba ready for you to open up. So pre-open them. You don't have to open them like I did. Just get them ready so that you can just put them in the pan and cook them. But here you are. This is how you make yakisoba. It's a very inexpensive dish. Always make sure that your pan is hot. You want to make sure it's hot, because when you're looking at it, you want to think, I'm using a wok, but in reality you're using your pan. So you want to make sure that your pan is nice and hot, because you want to sear your vegetables, you want to sear your meat, and then you want to add in the noodles and then combine everything together. Okay, so thank you very much for watching my channel. Make sure that you subscribe, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment below, and we'll be seeing you next time on Dishing with Joe.